right? It's like, oh yeah, you look terrible or whatever. I got to find a new background, something that's a little more, I guess, effective than what I have, because technically this isn't working out too well. Anyway, I'm going on YouTube and I'm on Facebook. I'm also Zooming. So let's get into the chit chat so that we can have good, effective chat. And I need to alter my microphone here just so that I can really hear myself in here. Welcome to Friday Night with Anthony White. I am the host, Anthony White, and I am the Orange Tie Guy. So the origin of celestial dating is really wanted to focus on something that I really wanted to help to give perspective to other people so that they could be, well, I guess the word would be understanding, and be able to recognize why I'm doing what I'm doing. So the origin of this, I mean, honestly, probably dates way, way back time ago, because I was born, almost 40 years ago. This year is actually going to be my 40th. Yay! I don't know. Makes me sound old, right? But I've come to recognize that dating is flawed. Dating is terrible. In fact, I had a earlier cast that was about dating, or I kind of mentioned celestial dating, what it was, thinking of the cosmos, thinking of, heavenly, upward. If you look in the dictionary of what celestial is defined as, it actually talks about upward in that sense. So for me, one of the biggest problems that I faced was the fact that not a lot of people look at or view relationships as a heavenly or an upward kind of a relationship. They kind of see it as secular. They see it as, hey, what can I get out of this? And if I'm not getting what I want out of this, peace out. I'm out. And that's a problem. That's a huge, huge issue. And I think that's the biggest issue that I have, is that I have this problem with the fact that far too many people, and I mean, simple, straight to the point, far too many people do not view dating, in my opinion, the way that it should be. They don't see it as the best option for them in getting to know other people. I like this concept of the friend zone, right? The friend zone. Everybody talks when I watch TV or movies or anything like that. They're like, yeah, they put me in the friend zone, or I'm in the friend zone. And it's almost like this, poor me. Yeah, get over that. I want to be in the friend zone, because in reality, when I date someone, well, I'll get into the details there. Where's the origin of this? So 10 years ago, I graduated from Brigham Young University, Hawaii. Go Seasiders. Yeah. Up there in Laie, Hawaii on Oahu. Gorgeous island. Loved the atmosphere, the ambiance, everything about it was just, I mean, for lack of a better word, glorious. And I just loved it. But one of the biggest challenges, one of the biggest trials, I would probably say, was dating. When it came to dating, if you started to date one person, you were courting them. You were in courtship. You were boyfriend, girlfriend. It was a very interesting and flawed concept. Now, kind of had to hand it to them, because ultimately, what I recognized, or actually found out for myself, was that a lot of Polynesian cultures, a lot of Asian cultures, a lot of even European cultures, because the university actually caters to probably about, I don't know, 90 plus countries. And the crazy thing about it is that like all of these countries are coming together to get an education. So ESL was huge, English as a second language. They had like probably 5 tiers of, English when it comes to, whether or not somebody knows or whether they can speak fluently or understand it fluently. And it's not necessarily speak, but it's more on that understanding side of things. But it's one of those great reality checks for me. And I learned that if I wanted to get to know somebody, I had to do it in a social setting. I had to do it when they were around their friends. I couldn't just go up and say, hey, how's it going? I'm Anthony, nice to meet you. Where are you from? Whether they're from Korea or Japan, or whether they're from Australia or whatever. And they had, just like everything else, they had that athletic or popular-esque looking kind of guys. I was definitely not one of those. I was a geek. And I was even on student council. I did the orientations for all the new students that actually came to the island and came to the school. And so I knew the island pretty well, and I got to know people. People knew who I was, but not necessarily wanted to be around me or get to know me better. So my issue is, hey, I want to get to know these people. I want to get to know them, but I'd like to get to know them, not the way that they act or are around their friends. Because truth be told, aren't we a little different when we're around our friends than just openly getting to know someone? Vulnerability is not something that we see often. In fact, I came to find, anyway, I came to find that myself, I was very unique in the sense that I was always vulnerable and transparent. I was very open. But I've learned that with a lot of codependent personalities, and that's another time we'll talk about codependence and all of that, toxic behaviors, and what's the number one and best, healthy behavior when it comes to dependence. It's interesting, but I was just very open, and a lot of people were guarded. A lot of people are like, who is this guy? What's his motivation? Why is he being so nice to me? And everybody who has kind of pretty much lived in the world, right? Depending on whether you're from Brooklyn, or whether you're from Boston, or whether you're from Los Angeles, or even Seattle, Chicago, Salt Lake City, it doesn't matter. A lot of people seem to be guarded because it's like, you're going to take advantage of me, you're going to abuse this, you're going to this. So everybody's very leery of this. I myself am someone who is more open. I'm someone who is, hey, ask me a question, I'll tell you about it. Yeah, I've got issues here. Yeah, but I've overcome these, and this, that, whatever, right? Well, come to find out, as I had to kind of, I don't want to say I was forced into this, but I felt I was compelled to be more of an observer. I had to watch and see if people would allow me to be my open self, and to say, hey, you know what, Suyin, I'd love to take you on a date sometime. But I learned something in the Asian culture, and I say this in like Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, Japan, China, it doesn't matter. If you go on a date, you are instantly courting. Like, that is, you are together. It is a labeled identifier. They had explained, and when I say they, I mean men and women from these cultures, even in Polynesian cultures, they helped me to understand, because I was very curious, like, why are people so standoffishy? Why are they like not willing to just say, hey, you want to go walk on the beach, kind of a thing, together and talk? It was just guarded, is just the best way I can put it. And I learned that you can ask them to go get a drink. I guess that was the verbiage back then. Granted, this was, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. But I realized that there was no concept, I guess, or separation between dating and courtship. Oddly enough, after I graduated in 2010, I came back to the mainland here. And I learned that actually, oddly enough, American society has phased out the mentality of courtship. We've gone to just dating. Dating is you are together. And they're like, well, we're dating, but we're dating here and there. We're dating other people. You know what? People just identify what it is. Because it's like driving me nuts, and I'm sure other people too, because if somebody asks, hey, are you guys dating? Yeah. Then they could take it literally. I mean, it could be a half a dozen ways. So does that mean like exclusive? Does that mean it's like an open relationship? Does that mean, and they start to go through these scenarios. It's like, you know what, label what it was. And it's like, Well, but courtship sounds like it's in the 1800s from Pride and Prejudice. Yeah, duh. Where do you think it came from? If you're courting someone, right? Courtship. Well, honestly, that's the stage or phase, in my opinion, and the way that I've structured in my mind and just outlined, celestial dating, is that concept of the fact that you can be single and hang out, right? Just be around other people in social situations. You can then go to the next stage, and that next stage is dating, meaning I'm going on a date with Sarah, I'm going on a date with Susan, I'm going on a date with Nicole or Natalie, or girls, if you're going on a date with Jeff, and then you're going on a date with Spencer, or date on with Anthony, whatever it is, right? Those are dates. Those are one event. It is like me signing up to do a speaking engagement. They contact me and then I go there and it's a one-time deal. Great. Unless they ask me to come back and have a series or a commitment, right? And they say specifically, hey, we would love for you to keep coming back every month. Oh, look at that committed relationship, almost like courtship, that you're actually, hey, you know what? Let's make this a regular thing. Whereas a date is once. Well, sad to say it, back again 15 years ago, that wasn't the case. It was the fact that if you went on a date, meaning you were seen once, you were with them. End of story. And if you ended that, then great, then you can move on to somebody else. That was different for the American culture. And I was like, wow, there needs to be a different mentality. But even now in America, on the mainland, guess what? There are people going out, and I use the term like old people, like my parents, hoochie coochie, right? With other people, and they're just, getting their non-committal makeouts, right? Or NICMO. And I don't know what the younger generation calls it, but basically it's that. It's people that are saying, hey, you know what? I want to get my instant gratification on and move on. Well, I've learned a lot of toxic things, and unfortunately, the women and men who do that can never find a solid, committed relationship because they're looking for instant gratification. And the people that you're in a relationship with, if they're just, hey, willing to give it to you for free, right? That NICMO, whatever it is, the hoochie coochie, they're not willing to invest in you because they know they can get their instant gratification on with you. So if you're stuck in that trap, I'd recommend you reach out to me and I can maybe coach you through that, or maybe I'll just do an episode, about that specifically. Why pay for it when you're giving it for me for free? Well, maybe I'll headline it that way. Why pay for something when you get it for free, or you can get it for free? Well, I've come to learn in this whole process of time that everybody is motivated by fear. And I'll self-identify my first me. I'm the first one, right? The fear of being labeled. Like, I wouldn't want to go out with Sue Young because guess what? What if Jennifer saw it? What if Kira saw it? What if Isabel saw it, right? All of a sudden, I'm now connected, or I'm that guy. Well, what if I'm not with her in a week? And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to go out with Isabel. And it's like, whoa, Anthony's a player. Anthony's just, going from one girl to the next, to the next, to the next. Isn't that dating people? Right? Isn't it getting to know somebody and moving there? Now, here's the sad connotation with a player. We've used this in society as this concept of he's a player, she's a player, right? When they're going and they're getting their instant gratification and then leaving. They're bailing. See ya. You gave me what I want. I'm out. No. The reality is that if you're doing that, you're a pig. I wouldn't even use the term player. That was something slang in the 80s that carried over, and it just has become this stupid thing. But the concept for me is this notion, and I would recommend you shifting those gears. Dating is the process by which you get to know someone better. Simple, straight to the point. Dating is the process by which you get to know someone better. I can go on a date with a girl Tiffany. 5, 10 times, 15, and not kiss her, cuddle, hold hands, make out, anything even further down the slope or funnel, as I would call it. Nope. I'm just getting to know her. There's some people that come to me, right? Probably you too, right? They just are attracted to you. That's one of the things about the orange tie guy when it comes to A, attractive. It's the fact that a lot of people can be attracted to you and maybe want to talk to you, right? Maybe they're attracted because of the way you are. And for whatever reason, there is an attraction. And so whether it's sympathy, right? Empathy, I see that a lot too. Aw, right? The ladies that go to prison, and pick up a guy, right? It's the funny tale or the joking story about that, and the fact that, hey, you know what? All these ladies that are waiting for inmates, well, I can help him, the rehabilitation, those that just want the self-gratification that I helped him or her, right? Improve their lives or be better or whatever it is, whatever abyss they're trying to fill, right? Don't get me wrong, that's not always the case. I don't want you to feel like that's an absolute judgment toward people, but we've seen it in stereotypical movies, TV shows, whatever the case is, right? We paint these pictures that become these absolutes when they're potentially, based off of flaws and prejudice initially. So dating is that process. So I can date Sarah, take her on a date, let's say Friday night. I can go out with Jessica Saturday morning, and then I can go out with Susan, then on Saturday night. All I'm doing is getting to know them, having a conversation, walking, maybe going and, I don't know, playing foosball or go-kart racing or whatever it is, right? Going and walking around a pond, in the park. It's the fact that you want to get to know them better. And then there's that process to get to know to courtship, right? Courtship is saying, hey, Erica, you're the only one for me. Like I don't see myself getting to know anybody else right now or wanting to. I want to see how this goes. How do you feel? Well, Anthony, I'm not quite there yet. Okay, understandable. You let me know either way if we get to that point. But I'd still love to take you out, Wednesday night. Yeah, I'd love to. Great. Right? It's this open connection of communication. It's this reality check. Well, me being I think it was at the time, 26-year-old terrified boy, honestly, in my 20s. I'd still say those that are in their 20s are boys, not men. But it's that recognition because of me being that people pleaser, being afraid, motivated by fear. I was stuck there. I was afraid of being labeled. There are so many women. I remember one who had I think a Japanese mother and an American father. They lived in Japan, and she was gorgeous. And I was like, right, Twitter pated, puppy dog eyes and stuff. But reality is that I was terrified to even talk to her. I didn't want to be judged or labeled or whatever. And it was like, because I've got to be this, or I've got to be that, or I've got to step up and present myself to look like this guy or act like that. No, stupid. Just be you. Worst thing that they can say is, no thanks, or ew. Even if they say ew, then it's like, okay, next, right? All of a sudden you move on and it's no longer that issue. Okay, cool. They're off my checklist. But we have this, I think somebody educated me just recently, FOMO, right? I think it's probably an old term now, maybe it's still used, but fear of missing out. And that's with all things, right? We have the fear of missing out on jobs, on a better pay, right? On a better business or partnership, on a better relationship. Well, if I get into this one, I might miss out on this one. Yeah. The thing is it's fear. Fear of missing out is fear, regardless of how you want to identify or label it. Fear is fear. And that's the sad truth to everything when it comes to dating. So here I am, mid-20s, you know, and I am afraid to be labeled. I'm not going to go on a date with her, even though she's a beautiful girl from Japan, or a beautiful girl from Korea, or a beautiful girl from, you know, Switzerland. Doesn't matter, because fear. And it bothers me because I don't think I was ever taught how to overcome fear. I don't think I was ever taught or had confidence instilled in me. And I guess this is the cream of the crop. This is the core of the why of celestial dating. Why celestial dating? Because we're uneducated. Simple and straight enough. We're uneducated. Ignorant is really what it is. Number two, the wrong thing is our motivator. Fear is currently the motivator. Number three is the fact that confidence, or faith, even faith which instills confidence, is underplayed or absent. And that's what's attractive to men and women. Somebody who has confidence. Now, arrogance is obviously that borderline, right? That tipping point, if you will, on confidence. You can stay confident and still be humble. But being confident in you, that's the truth. It's you, who you are. And I see far too many people that don't know how to be confident. They just don't know how. That's the truth of it. And I'm going to try and see if I can do this a little better. So when it comes down to the details of the origin, I don't want other people to miss out. My target audience is young single adults, even teenagers. I'd go with teenagers. But teenagers shouldn't be having intimate relationships. And with their hormones raging like they do, it might be a tough thing to really kind of identify for teenagers. But for, you know, those that are in their 20s and their 30s and on up. But I've learned this, that the older you get, the more independent you become, the more stubborn you become, the more calloused you become, the more set in your ways and defiant even. You are opinionated. You have that thought process of saying, you know what? No, I know what I want, and I'm not sticking, or I'm not beaten to it. I've read so many books on dating, on marriage. I've observed, I've coached married couples, those that were dating, people that are looking and hoping to date. But really my target audience is single people, and even married, that have a stale or non-existent relationship. Because you can still date your spouse. You can still have that relationship. I watch movies, TV shows, you know, I try to stay away from the soap opera-esque garbage because it's all crap. And it just creates drama and induces fear in people. Same thing with horror movies, right? Everybody wants that rush, but then it gets into your subconscious mind like a tick or a flea that just bothers you, and it just like, oh, get it off, right? It's just a problem. So I know people, and this is another reason why I do this, who keep coming to me and keep asking the same questions over and over and over and over again. And their issues seem to be the same thing. It's like, you know, why can't I get a guy's attention? Or, you know, I really like this girl, but I don't know what to say to her, or I don't want to blow it, or this or this. Fear. Everybody seems to be afraid. And I was there, been there many times. And it's that fear of missing out. I think logically, as I've analyzed this, because I don't have the other half or party to this, my ex-wife, I think that the reason she actually decided to marry me is the fear of missing out. I think that's what it was. Because I was a confident, very good guy. And I remember her distinctly, because I actually have it recorded, her saying, "You portrayed yourself out to be someone you're not." And I thought to myself, no, I didn't. In fact, you're probably the one, because I learned from 2 prior engagements and I made a commitment to myself that I would never, ever get into a relationship without her knowing me fully. And I mean, not necessarily naked, obviously. I have my chastity and my covenants to, Jesus Christ. But when it comes down to it, for me, I realized that I will 100% be authentic. I'll be vulnerable, sincere, authentic, vulnerable, sincere, transparent, authentic, and genuine. My VSTAG that I put in there. And it's that, no, she's going to know me. She's going to know everything about me. But one thing I learned as I kind of evaluated that, I learned that because I was still stuck in that toxic codependent mentality, that I would do anything and everything she said because I loved her and I wanted her to be with her and I wanted her to be with me, et cetera, that I sacrificed and gave up who I was because she kept asking me to do and be something else. And I gave in. Don't let fear be your motivator. Don't let it take over your life. Don't let fear be the problem that runs into and or creates your world. Because one day, and this is a lot, and this is why divorce is so high, one day you're going to say, I'm tired of being this other person. I just want to be me again. Or I just want to be me to begin with. And then once you identify and figure that out and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm done being this other person. All of a sudden, you're going to make a switch. And then the person next to you is going to be like, who are you? Like, you're acting weird. It's like, no, I'm acting normal actually for the first time in a long time. And they're like, okay, I'm done. I'm out. And for me, it's like, duh. Unless you're, wanting to get the instant gratification, the NICMOs, the nookie, whatever you want to label it, right? If it comes down to that, you know what? Go visit a brothel. Go somewhere else where, whatever it is, it'll save you a lot of emotional trauma. Well, actually, no, it won't, because I've actually worked with people who've had those issues too. But the truth is get your head out of the dirt. Get it out of the lust-filled instant gratification realm. Start to learn that, guess what? You're worth it, and so is the other person with you. They're worth it. They're worth investing in. That's what the whole process of the tie is. The Orange Tie Guy, thought investment encourager. It's the concept that you need to be invested in this. But how can you invest in something you don't know how to invest in? That's the biggest issue I think that we're facing, is that a lot of people don't know how. They don't know how. Well, that's why people come to me for coaching. That's why I go and speak, is because ultimately I'm just educating people. I'm giving them the simple format of the reality where people want genuine. That's why the G, right, in orange, genuine. They want you to be vulnerable, sincere, transparent, authentic, genuine. They want to see, who are you? Why should I invest in you? And that's even one date, right? But we are so convinced, right? We are so convinced of the glorious, the glamorous. I see too many times on dating sites and having conversations with other people. And I've learned that when people are doing these whole attempting sexy pictures and stuff and poses, it's actually repulsive. It shows me that they don't value themselves. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. But truth be told, if you're trying to dress yourself as naked or as scandalous as you can, to get somebody else's attention, then you have a void in your own life and you are lacking your own self-confidence, self-assuredness. You're looking for someone else's approval and or acceptance. You're looking for them to tell you that you're valuable rather than you seeing it for yourself and knowing for yourself, you know what? I'm worth it. I don't have to dress like a, scantily clad individual or someone who is seductive or more attractive or tantalizing on camera. I mean, this isn't just women. This is guys too. Guys that are showing off their muscles and stuff. Like, I might take pictures of me, I guess the word would be when, keyword, when I actually start to, build muscle. I think that's why I have, shirts that are so saggy. It's because I'm like, hey, eventually, maybe get some pectorals. But that's for me. That's not for other people. Should never be for other people. Don't get me wrong. If you're like Henry Cavill, then hey, you obviously want to build up for Superman, and obviously he's doing it for other people, not for himself, or else he'd be built the way he was during Superman, all the time. But hey, he had motivation, right? Logically, fear is the main problem. I think it's in everything. Fear is the biggest problem. And I think those around you could potentially be exploiting that. Well, aren't you afraid of this or that or whatever? Aren't you afraid of this or that or whatever? I think about me with relationships, if I'm in a relationship with a woman and she's my girlfriend, she should be comfortable in knowing me and feeling comfortable if I'm going to coach an attractive, physically attractive, single female. And it's trusting me, knowing me, right? And it was interesting because I was requested to stop seeing single or coaching single females when I was married. And it was something that didn't quite click in my head. And I think because I was still codependent and stuck in that toxic realm, it was one of those things of, yes, ma'am, I'll do that. Where single women need help too. Yeah, we could meet at like a public library, get a meeting room there, not at my office or anything like that. But truth be told, it reflects how we feel and think about ourselves. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still trashy people out there, guys, girls, scantily or what is it, lust-filled minds, right? Devious and I want to get my satisfaction or instant gratification on. Yeah, well, I would say don't really commit to relationships with those types of people. Learn who you're building relationships with. Get to know them. Let them get to know you and what you stand for. This is why I'm a faithful man. This is why the gospel of Jesus Christ is something that is primarily the core to who I am. It's because I have beliefs. I have a faith. I have a foundation. I know who I am, why I'm here, where I'm going after this life. And because of those destinations and those key points in my life, I think I have a more solid perspective. Yet we get lost in movies and TV and newspapers and magazines and glamour and glitz and tinkling ornaments and all that stuff. And that's where it becomes sad, is when we start to get enveloped in that stuff. That's when a lot of problems occur. And instead of us being solidified or anchored to a solid foundation, we anchor ourselves to something that's sinking or that's cracking or falling. And then we become that. Now, am I here to judge anybody? No, clearly not. But this is what I've learned. This is what I've gained perspective from. This is what I've really, in all truth, is what I'm aware of. And for me, I love the reality when we can get down to its deepest core understanding. I love the reality that each of us brings to our own life when we actually have that purpose, when we have goals, when we have a focus, when we say, I want to be here or there. I want to be this person. I want to do this. I want to have this. Awesome. Set those goals. But I would highly recommend them be solid. Dating is for friendship only. That is the place where you get to know someone. And I would recommend, highly, 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 highly recommend, if you're a guy or a girl, if you're the one asking people on dates, ask someone, if they're in a group setting. If I'm in a situation, I'll give you a scenario as if they were here. Hey, Teresa, how's it going? Good. Well, hey, I got some tickets to this event on Friday. I was wondering if you're available. Would you like to go with me? Awesome. Cool. Would it be okay if I pick you up at 6 o'clock? Awesome. Perfect. I'll see you Friday. Hey, Jennifer, what are you doing Saturday? Well, would you like to go on a date on Saturday? Friday's obviously taken, but I'd love to take you on the date Saturday. Would you like to go? No? Okay. Totally understandable. Hey, Debbie. So Saturday, I'd love to take you on a date. You would? Awesome. Cool. So what do you think? 6, 7? What are your thoughts? 7? Awesome. Sweet. Then I'll see you Saturday, 7 o'clock. Okay. And I'll see you on Friday. Have a good one, ladies. How hard is that? They can talk about you all you want or all they want, right? Doesn't affect you. Truth be told, you're just going to get to know them. There's nothing seductive. There's nothing instantly gratifying. There's nothing like, yeah, I'm all about that. No, that is a human. They are a son or daughter of God. And in my opinion, everyone deserves respect. I don't care of race, religion. I don't care of where you grew up. I don't care your current status. Truth is that everybody deserves respect. And when you treat someone with respect, you will also in kind be treated with respect. And if you don't, guess what? Move on. No harm done, no foul done. It's you focusing specifically on being able to identify for yourself, do I want to be around that type of person? I feel so bad for this, MTV generation, people that are stuck up on these, E! Channel and MTV and how they see these lives, of these people that are stuck with, fame and fashion and glamour and looking this certain way. And because they're in prison, they're enslaved, they are tormented if they have a zit on their face or if they have any kind of flaw. I mean, you cannot believe the billions of dollars that are in plastic surgery industry to alter these things. Now, don't get me wrong, like I've got a birthmark underneath my my left pectoral. I got a mole on my back, or maybe like a skin tag, under my eye or something like that. It's like, sure, if you want those little things removed, understandable, but it also becomes an addiction too. I've got to look perfect. Guess what? You're all going to fade away. The sickest thing I can see is when somebody has puffy lips and they got like wrinkles, and it's like, just let yourself get old. Seriously, you don't need the Botox. Just allow yourself to age and just be yourself, because it does more harm than damage. And it's not just that, it's also psychological. It's up here. All right. Well, I've kind of gone off. One thing I hope for the future for you guys is that on Friday nights with Anthony White, I would love to have comments, questions, because there's a lot to give. And I might, if not, I'll probably be prepared next time for comments about what people are saying in my social groups or networks. And hopefully, in time, as you kind of discover this kind of stuff, you can say, Anthony, you're totally wrong, or this is total rubbish. Or you can say, you know what? Well, I've been thinking about this. What do you think about this? And I could be like, okay. I do have this up. I probably shouldn't. I'll probably take it down next time. I don't know. Maybe I'll have like a headline behind it. Maybe I'll just remove it. Maybe I'll keep it up. I don't know. It depends on what people think and how they feel about stuff. But ultimately, I do take donations. Donations that I do with this actually help people, so I can give more dating and more coaching out to people who can't otherwise afford it. Because there's a lot of people who do want my time, but unfortunately, slim pickings here and there. But I'm Anthony White, the Orange Tie Guy. I hope this was beneficial and helpful to you. And this is Friday Night with Anthony White. Maybe in the future we'll also just put, as a host, like the Late Show, the Daily Show, the Tonight Show, like all that kind of stuff. Maybe we'll just call it Tonight with Anthony White, but we'll see. Hopefully this was beneficial for you and I offered enough perspective.